What's up everybody, John from Old Reading Farm here. Thank you for joining me. In today's video, I'm very excited to be showing off my brand new toy, which is a Woodland Mills WC68 6-inch wood chipper. So I have wanted one of these things for the longest time, and today is finally the day that I get to get it out of the box, get it set up, and hopefully do some shipping. So what I'm going to do is I'll tell you a little bit about why I decided to get this one, and then I'll sort of go through the installation. There's only a few parts that we need to put together. I tried to do a video yesterday of it and I sort of went all over the place. So it's going to be a little bit of the filming that I did yesterday, as well as some of the talking I did yesterday, and some of the voiceover that I'll do today. So you might see me change color shirts and voiceover, yada yada. But anyway, let's get started. So for any of you who have been watching the channel for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of Woodland Mills. We started out with the HM122 sawmill, then we got the WG24, I think it is, stump grinder. Now we have the HM136 Max sawmill over here, and the newest member of the family, the WC68 wood chipper. Now, it took sort of a while for me to figure out exactly what I wanted. I love Woodland Mills, and so I was very confident in like their products and yada yada. So this one had always sort of been on my mind. So I have the Kubota L4701 tractor. So it's got 47 engine horsepower, 37 at the PTO. So for this 6-inch chipper, I am sort of near the top end of horsepower range for it, meaning that I should have no problem whatsoever chipping a full 6-inch diameter branch. And so in thinking about what I wanted to get in terms of a wood chipper, you know, I have several needs. Because we have the sawmill, we end up with some offcuts like these down here. So I need to be able to process these because my neighbors have issues with me having fires, so whatever. I had a bunch of different needs for a wood chipper, and I looked at a bunch of them. I looked at like standalone, you know, trailer models that you'll see tree companies have. And the thing that I found is, for my needs, something a little bigger than 6 inches would be ideal. But what I found in the world of wood chippers is it's either 6 inches or it's all the way up to 12 inches. And then when you get to 12 inches, if you're looking at brand new stuff, it's like $20,000, $30,000 just to start. Whereas this is $29.99 US dollars plus shipping when I got it, which is in May of 2024. Just in case this video lives on forever, I'm sure prices change. 12-inch wood chipper would probably be ideal. But the only way that I could ever afford something like that was to buy something really old. And then it's also like, you know, it's a 5,000 pound machine. So it's like, my truck would be, you know, sort of near its limit. So I can tow up to 7,000 pounds. So 5,000 pounds is a lot. And it's also a lot to bring around my property. As you can see, you know, my terrain is not that great. Having something that I can hook up to my tractor and then just drive itself right out to where I need it to be, that's good. Also, I have my dump trailer that eventually I'm gonna set up, you know, a little wooden extension on it. So, you know, I can have my truck and my trailer here and then my tractor and the wood chipper separately. The other thing when it came to the 12-inch wood chippers was that the only way I could afford them is if they were really old, and they were mostly chuck and duck models, which means, actually this picture is helpful right here. So this is the infeed chute, and so the infeed chute on a chuck and duck wood chipper basically just has the blades for it right at the end of it, whereas this has a hydraulic roller that pulls the pieces into the blades. With a chuck and duck, you'd have to do exactly that. You throw the branch in and then you run away because, you know, the blades are right there. So I was just thinking, you know, with all the small pieces that I have, I'm not really excited to have a chuck and duck. And also, you know, you get an old piece of equipment, and there are a lot of people out there who are really handy and mechanically savvy. I'm not really interested in dealing with an old piece of equipment, you know, however easy it is to work on, you know, a straight 6 or whatever. I'd rather go with this with a company and a brand new piece of equipment with warranty. But anyway, as far as I know, this is probably going to be the easiest thing from Woodland Mills to set up besides the stump grinder. So, you know, let's just get right into it. I'm not sure exactly what I need, but I'm going to start by unboxing this thing and taking a look at the manual, and then I'll check back. Okay, so pretty straightforward. The first thing that you want to do is unbox the crate. And so You'll just lift that little metal piece off of the whole base, yada yada, remove all the stuff. Most of the hardware, not most, but a lot of the hardware comes in that tube. So you want to take that out also. And then the first thing you're going to do is start with the very top panel, which is these guys here. And so that is going to be, so I used a 16 millimeter socket on this side and an adjustable wrench on here. And you'll see that there are 3 nylon washers that go in between each piece. So that was pretty straightforward. Once you got the top on, you can move to the sides. Okay, so when you're installing the sides, one thing that I found very important to remember is that the sides are on the outside of both the top and the bottom panel. When I was putting this together, I did one side the wrong way initially, but so remember the sides go on the outside. And then so you're gonna use, what is this, a 5 millimeter? I don't know, it's a number 5 Allen set, and then a 13 millimeter ratchet I did on the inside. And so when you install these side panels, you're just gonna do these 2 bolts first, and you're gonna leave that one blank. So once you get those set, so you get these 2 bolts in on either side, then you can put the bottom panel in. And then on the bottom panel, it's the same thing. It's the 5 mil on the outside and the 13 mil on the inside ratchet. You're only gonna do these 2. So like basically right there, you can see in the picture here that they want you to just do those 2. And so you just sort of leave that hanging down. Whew, that bottom panel was tough to get in there. Trying to hold it up, and the screws are short, and these guys don't quite, oh, you know why? I think I did it wrong. Dang it. All right, so a note for everybody. These side walls go on the outside of both the top and the bottom. I'm sitting here like, why is there a gap over here? That seems like a design flaw. Nope, I'm just dumb. Next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna put this edge bar on, which is this guy right here. And so this is just like a little round bar that goes around the entirety of the outside of the infeed chute. And what that does is it adds like some rigidity to the chute overall, as well as providing like a little round edge. So if you have branches going in there, they won't get caught on the sharp flat edges over there. So again, this goes on the outside, and sorry, I already have the control arm here, but you can see that it goes on the outside, and then you're basically just gonna put these bolts in here and the ones on the bottom. And now another important note for this is to not tighten the screws all the way. So I should have mentioned that before, but I went through and did that too. So you're just gonna tighten them a little bit, like enough to hold everything together. And then once you get the control arm on there, I think that's when you do the whole thing. So once you have the edge bar on there, then you're gonna put in the rest of the bolts. So you're gonna do the 1, 2, 3 on either side here, and then the one that you left out on top. And again, still not fully tightening. So then you're gonna take the control arm, which is this red thing, and that's what's actually gonna control the roller that's in there, whether you're doing forward, neutral, or reverse. So you have these big bolts on here. And so that is going to be, let me see. So that is a 17 millimeter on the locking nut. Yes, so 6 millimeter Allen key on the inside. And then you have a washer in between. And then you have a 17 millimeter locking socket there. Now, once you get that on there with those 2 bolts, then you can tighten all of these screws. Okay, so once you get the edge bar and the control arm all set, then you can go through and tighten all the screws, confirmed. Next thing you're gonna do is put together the control arm linkage, which is just this little piece down here. So this is what connects the control arm to the actual hydraulics. So there is just a locking pin, there's a locking nut here, which I believe is, yep. So that's another, so you have a 17 millimeter on this side, and then I just used an adjustable wrench on the other side. The part down here is just a pretty simple cotter pin that you can take out and do. And then once that's all set, you just tighten the locking nut, which is right here, and you have that on both this side and that side. And then you'll see once you're done with that, you have 3 settings on this. So when it's all the way in, that's reverse. When it is slightly out, that's neutral. When it's all the way out, that's feeding into the machine. So now that that's done, time for the infeed chute. And so with this guy, you're gonna have 4 bolts, as well as a locking nut and a washer. So you're gonna, okay, so there's a couple things with this. Number 1, the spring side is gonna face the tractor. It's gonna be on the tractor side of the machine. So that's an easy way to know that you got this set up right. And then there's 2 lengths of bolts that you have here, 14 millimeter and 16 millimeter. The 14 millimeter bolts go on the chipper side, 16 millimeter bolts go on the tractor side. And that's just a 13 millimeter ratchet that I used to put those in. These are self-threading couplers on the back there. And then you have that all set. There's also one little plastic piece that comes separate. And you can see this is like a little welded bolt that's in here. And this is just to control. Very exciting filming right here. This is just to control the chute. So when you loosen that, then you can point this down, tighten her up. Yada yada. They included a PTO booklet, which will be important because this is an expensive piece of equipment. Want to make sure it's all bueno. But one of the things that I said earlier that I'm not sure if it'll make it, the thing that I love about this is that they individually bag all of the bolts. So like when it says, you know, these are the things that you're gonna need to put the discharge chute together, these 4 pieces of hardware are in its own little bag. So it's easy to find, you know what you're looking for because you're gonna see just these things in there, which is nice. So same thing with this little PTO booklet. They included a couple of shear bolts, which I love, just to make sure that it's the right ones. And I'm gonna take a quick look at this booklet and make sure I'm not gonna do anything wrong. I know this is like, you know, serious business here, but they really gotta come up with a different picture for this. Oof. So next thing I'm gonna do is actually put it on the tractor and then raise it up, and we gotta do some measuring to make sure that I don't need to cut the PTO shaft. Again, I do not think I will need to because I have a big enough tractor, but we'll see. So I'm gonna put it on there and check it out. Woo. Okay, so next thing you're gonna do, so you're gonna measure where the locking part, do they have a special word for it? Locking grooves. So you're gonna measure from the locking groove on your tractor. I'm sorry, your tractor's over here. So I'm dumb. So the shear bolt end goes on the wood chipper side. I'm pretty sure I said that. But so this is the wood chipper. This is your tractor. So obviously shear bolt end goes on this side. So you're gonna measure the locking groove from the wood chipper to the locking groove on your tractor. And then it's gonna say that it needs to be 1 inch longer than 29 7/16. So basically you want it to be 30.5 inches, but they ask you to measure it. Anyway, so here we go. I'm gonna do some measuring and make sure we're good to go. All right, so it turns out I do need to shorten the PTO shaft, which stinks. I was really hoping to just get this up and going, but anyway. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna take the distance between your locking grooves on the PTO shafts from the tractor to the chipper, and you're going to do this equation here, where the dimension A is the distance between the 2 PTO shafts on the equipment, and B is the distance between the locking pins on the PTO shaft. You're gonna subtract. You know what? I'm not gonna do the math. I'm just gonna show you the formula. You know what? I'm not even gonna do that. So it's on page 24 of your owner's manual, I'm not gonna get in trouble here. You guys figure that part out. I'm not even gonna show me cutting it because I'm so nervous about it. So I'm just gonna go do it. I'm gonna come back and hopefully it's all good. All right, got my PTO shaft cut. Time to install it, fill it with hydraulic fluid, and then hopefully we're chipping. So the last thing, hopefully, got it filled up with hydraulic fluid. Tank's right there, only spilled half the bottle. No, just kidding. It was a 5-gallon bucket, only spilled a little bit. Pretty proud of myself there. The last thing they say to check is the bed plate gap. And so what they said, which I guess I need to check the manual again. So basically I got this guy opened up. So there's one bolt right here. It's a 24 millimeter that's got its own threaded bolt on the bottom. So you just need to unscrew the top. And yeah, so now referring to the manual, checking the bed plate gap. It's impossible to get on camera, but so basically there's like a little plate, which is right here, that you want to make sure it's between a 1/16 of an inch and an 1/8 of an inch away from the blades when they're rotating. So it's impossible to get a shot of that because it's so dark and deep in there, but the manual explains it pretty well, so you can take a look. All right, now I'm all set, finally. That was, you know, they say it comes like 90% built, but that was a little bit more than I was expecting. I was hoping to just get this up and running immediately, but hopefully once I have it set up, we're all good to go. So what I'm gonna do now, do a final check, take another look at it, make sure everything looks good, and then hopefully chip some branches. All right, so I think we're all set. One of the important things that they said regarding this was to start it slowly to make sure that the flywheel is turning before you jam it up to 540 RPMs. So basically like a slow acceleration rather than just throwing it in there. I guess that can damage or probably break the shear bolts. You want to get it going first, a little bit at lower RPMs, and then turn it up. So that makes sense. Woo! I gotta tell you, I am a little bit nervous. So they said to start small. I have this little tiny pile of brush right here. Just want to see if it'll go, see how it works. Hopefully it's all good, and let's chip some stuff. The roller wasn't rolling there. So not sure what that means, but I guess I got to check the manual. Oh, there is nothing in the manual that says anything about the in-feed roller not rolling, and I don't see any reason why it wouldn't. I even let it run for a few minutes to see if the hydraulic pump needed some time to pressurize or something like that, but to no avail. Dang it. I'm gonna check the manual one more quick time, but I got stuff to do, so other than that, I'll call them tomorrow and see if we can figure it out. All right, so I'm not exactly sure whether I just missed this instruction or whether maybe they just forgot to screw it in. So there was this hydraulic hose right here, which goes from the tank to the pump, was not connected. So that, therefore, there was no hydraulic oil flowing through the system. As soon as I got that connected and running, started working perfectly. So now, let's get to chipping. so it is working. Obviously. Oh, I love that cedar, man. All right, so I'm very glad that this is now up and running. I think I will need to make a couple of tweaks, but overall it is working just fine. Like I said, a little more setup than I initially thought, but really not that big of a deal. And I am looking forward to using this thing to cleaning up my chainsaw carving scraps as well as my sawmill scraps. So looking forward to it. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.